Okay, and we're trying this again. I don't know. I do 2 live streams per year, and every time everything gets ruined. Anyways, welcome to this year's ALANA Recap and Outlook 2025 and 2026, of course. Thank you guys for joining. Sorry for the mashup. I hope this time we actually made it live. Fingers crossed. Anyways, super good to have you guys listening in. Most of you, I hope you will be anyway too busy with your family and you're gonna listen to the recording eventually. But I tend to keep and do this live because it just feels like the right thing to do. Anyways, as you guys know, the ALANA project started as a personal avatar project of mine. And it really started as a super cute little experiment, creative experiment. And now we're a few years in and we've been building on the side of our real jobs and our real lives and everything, doing this mostly on a volunteer basis. Well, the kind of like biggest newsflash is we want to start and turn this into a profitable endeavor. So you guys can actually hustle and earn some money with it. And obviously I want to do that too, because I want to commit more of my energy and resources again to the ALANA project, unlike the last year, because last year, well, I spent a lot of time outside of the ALANA project, is the truth, and it made me a little bit sad. So what can I say? So I think 2026, I'm gonna go full steam on ALANA, try and make that project a little bit of a safe haven, also for creators to actually monetize and earn money. So a lot of what I'm telling you, or what I'm going to talk to you about today, is about the products that we've been developing. Some of them we've been developing quite silently, as the little group that we are, open group that we are. And yeah, well, let's just jump right into it, right? What are we waiting for? So as I mentioned, it started as an avatar project, but as the year comes, as the years have passed, it turned into something much, much bigger, something that has its own little working branches. We have our own manifesto. We stand for creators, creatives, creative builders, but we also want to stand more for the rights and what makes creativity such a unique and precious thing. And I think with the development of AI, all of this has been swept under the rug a little bit. I know I use AI. I use mostly decentralized and open source AI, but I think the way AI has been built is extremely unethical. And saying that out loud shouldn't harm you, should not harm you, the jobs you get, and should not keep you from using AI, but maybe making very informed decision on the AI that you use for the things that you use it for. Because newsflash, I'm working on the ALANA avatar right now. I actually have the Blender window open, and it's, AI cannot help me with anything on it, right? With nothing. So anyways, who do I see here? Alex, hey, Niels, so good to see you guys here. Thank you for joining. So let's get into it first. So a lot of what we did in the last year, while I was also a little bit occupied with Unlock Protocol stuff, is we've really tried and focused the resources we had, the brain power we had on foundations, right? Foundations means we have admin branches and we have product branches. Admin branches are infrastructure and strategy, for example, which, for example, Niels is part of. And we have branding and social media. Those two, for example, are admin branches, right? And in the infrastructure team, we have decided to, for example, move to paragraph.com, which is our current newsletter. So if you are not already subscribed, you may want to consider subscribing to it, because it's really cool and it's very informative. And big shout out actually to Lutra, Dani, Shelpen, for writing this with me. because it used to feel pretty lonely, but then Lutra jumped in and was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write articles for Alana. I was like so excited because a lot of the resources that he has been drafting have been incredibly valuable for people. They are literally a go-to resource, so I highly recommend you check it out. Either way, I'm moving on. Yeah, I'm glad about it. Yeah, me too. So anyways, we moved to paragraph, the Alana newsflash, and we've also expanded the different pillars that we have been publishing there, right? So instead of just making this, an educational resource, we've experimented with different streams of information. And we're excited to also tell you guys that we want to start publishing about the actual Alana avatar story next year. So this has been sitting on the shelf for such a long time, even though, a lot of people have also put their passion into that. And I hope on this one, Shelpen will be my partner in crime. But yeah, the idea is to publish more about the actual story of the Alana avatar because, well, also very quietly, we have actually been developing a storyline around that character. Like, who is Alana? Where's she from? What is she? Is she a robot? Is she AI? Is she a sentient being? Like, what is she, right? So we thought it would be really fun to start and tell that story bit by bit. And we're also going to do that on the Alana newsflash. So again, highly recommend you're opting into that one. Anyway, on a side note, also huge shout out to Grayscale, who's been, spending hours of researching and summarizing core principles for the infrastructure team on, novel technologies, tokenomics design, and so much more. Thank you for doing that. So here is what we did in infrastructure and strategy over the course of 2025. We created our own snapshot as a primary governance platform. We did so by using membership NFTs powered by Unlock protocol. And we officially implemented the Alana Manifesto, as you might have heard, as 10 principles of a good community that was largely inspired by very famous product designer, very famous German product designer that published 10 principles of good design at some point at the peak of his career. And we took inspiration from that, Dani and myself, and thought, hey, wait, if that works for design and, communities are kind of like system design, can that work for defining a good community? And we were like, yeah, I guess it could. So why not do it then? So that's what we did. We also created something that specifically Lutra, Grayscale, myself, also Bedani, Shelpen, Digital Monkey have been working on almost the entire year to try and get it as right as possible, even though, of course, we know we cannot get everything 100% perfect, right? So it's our idea of trying as best as we can, and we designed something that we call the contribution calculator. We also discussed it in a group. We did an internal community stream. We showed people how it works. We voted on it, and we hope we can enable people to contribute, get points in return that are, kind of fixed, I guess, or semi-fixed in the contribution calculator, which eventually gets paid out in the Alana token. So you are not just contributing for nothing, but you actually hold a strong voice in what the community decides. So that can go where do the revenue streams go, right? Should we invest maybe collectively into something? All kinds of things. So that's something what we did. And with all of that in place, we also decided that it's time to have Alana multi-signature wallets, which are cared for by different individuals that were elected in an on-chain vote via the snapshot governance platform. So all of that happened just in infrastructure and strategy in 2025. And believe me, we explored much, much more, right? So this is it's just the most important things, I guess, that we did. Webinars have played a much smaller role in 2025. And I think that was mainly because we were not quite sure what people had brain space for. A lot of creators that I talked to, they felt very overwhelmed, very oversaturated. They felt like they had no mental capacity anymore. I was like, do we really need to put out webinars, right? And then, in the recent months, or let's say in the last 3 months actually of 2025, a lot of people approached me with ideas and they were like, hey, can we do this? Oh, can we do that? Oh, if you were to do that as a webinar, I would join that. And I was like, huh, it seems webinars were missed after all. So here's to the good news. We're going to bring them back in 2026, or at least trying to. And yeah, we already have 3 topics locked in. So if you want something specific that's Web3 or creator focus or both, let us know. But 2 of them will strongly focus on creator monetization. Because of the whole AI revolution, a lot of creators actually have run out of jobs, or they had to adopt another job to keep following their passion. So yeah, that's also a big thing. So we're going to focus a lot on monetization, how to keep yourself safe, because in case you haven't heard, my wallet got hacked and I lost a lot of funds. So a lot of people came to me and say, how could that have happened to you? Well, it can really happen to anyone. Social engineering, when it comes to scams and hacks, is now so good. It's just so good that, yeah, anyone can fall for it. And, the recent hacking reports have shown that there's an increase in AI hack attacks of like over 1,000%. So I think, yeah, we're at a stage where this can happen to anyone. So I think it is good news. I figured out how to keep myself more safe. Which means, well, we have something to talk about. And I also found was a cybersecurity specialist who looked at me and was like, how could you have fallen for that? But also, I'm so sorry. So anyways, he's going to join us and he's going to help us to understand how in Web3 and in Web2, how can we keep safe? Because it was actually not a very Web3 hack attack, even though even though my wallet got drained through it. The actual hack was actually very Web2. So I don't know if I should be proud or sad about that fact. Still figuring that one out. Anyway, let's move on. So the other admin branch that I want to quickly share a few news about is the branding department, I guess. Branding and socials department. And while we've stepped a little bit back on socials, and we're just like, thanks to Habo, we're kind of like putting up some pressure, some very healthy pressure. So that's the reason why we're coming back to all of it. But what we actually have accomplished is finalizing entirely the branding guidelines, which is, I think, really great news, because a lot of people really underestimate how branding influences the entirety of your tone of voice, of your visual aesthetic, and how it streamlines into everything else, right? And we wanted to make sure that we nail that as much as possible, and we decided that let's say quite aesthetics, I guess, or it's timeless aesthetics. I think that's the real thing. Timeless aesthetics is what Alana thrives on, because there's so much color, there's so much interesting stuff going on top of the brand guidelines, right? That it is really important, at least Kirsty Malloy and I figured it's really important to keep the foundation very classic, very timeless. So it has its twists, but honestly, it is just a very timeless brand guideline. I think I really came to love it. Kirsty too. It's very much out of our personal comfort zones. Hi, Sogan. Nice to see you. It's very much like away from what I would do or what I've done for my personal branding, very much away from what Kirsty does for her. So it took us some time to really transform the overall brand aesthetics into what we think Alana is. And even though he is not around these days, Klaus Fleischacker was actually one of the major contributors back in the day to really nail down the foundation of that. And Kirsty and I mostly built up on that and elaborated, evolved that original idea. So huge shout out to the both of them for doing that. So I hope the overall intention here is quite clear. The intention is making sure that the full foundation is in place before we can become more available and visible to the rest of the world, right? Alana has been quite a hub for experimentation, but I think we're getting ready to take it out of its experimental mode. Not entirely. We love experimentation, so we're not going to take it completely off from experimentation, but I think we're ready to really lift this to the next level. And I, for one, as also some other members have committed quite clearly, like really trying to go all in on Alana for 2026. I've missed Alana in 2025 a lot because I was so distracted with my work at Unlock. And while that has been such a rich and valuable experience, I think it's really time to refocus on Alana and really shift things to where they should go, where they should go. Okay, next part is products. Everything about products, right? And products, what do we have? We have Alana Magazine. Obviously, you know that already. We have Alana Boutique. You might have seen some little leaks that we published on LinkedIn. We have Faber AI, originally Alana AI, but there's good reason we started to call it Faber AI. And we have two projects that you might have heard almost nothing about, called Minify and Phoenix Gate. They fall into a category of their own. Okay, let me get into it. So Alana Magazine, and it's nice that Sogan just joined because she's part of that team. Also, huge shout out to Sogan, to Nastaran, to Delia, Haboji, Shelpen, Lutra, Lauren, Ilya, Jessica, and Ilan for being a stable part of the Alana Magazine team. Because Alana Magazine has been going through some waves. Let's call it waves, yeah. There was momentum, there were setbacks in 2025. There was this realization that creators are heavily oversaturated with information, a lot of information that they probably don't even want to ingest, but they feel like they have to, or even they do have to, right? Because we still live in the real world, and there are real world problems right now going on globally. It's not a, it's no longer like, oh, you live in Peru. Oh, I just heard you have like call for emergency from the president. I'm like, yeah, but that happens like every few months here. Like, that's not so special. When this happens in other countries, people realize like, oh, wow, you've been having this for years now. Like, that's crazy. And then, you talk to other friends on the other side of the planet, are like, yeah, my parents are still living in a war zone. That's heavy. That's really freaking heavy. And as much as I love Alana Magazine, as much as I love Alana, I will not tell creators to put that all aside and contribute to our magazine, right? Because creativity needs a breathing ground. It needs care. It needs love. It needs something to feel safe in and within. And if that just gets torn away from you, how you're going to create? I mean, creation has been really difficult for the past few years. And I think, I've been, talking to friends who really had a shitty time the last few years. So, anyways, accordingly, or in context to that, Alana Magazine has been hitting some setbacks, some delays, some shifting of timelines, coordination challenges, all the good stuff. But you know what? We're still here, and we're still committed to publish that magazine. In fact, it's almost finished. Curation actually stands. So it's on me, on me to actually lay out this starting in the new year. And I'm really looking forward to it because there are some really valuable articles in that one. Again, that will be quite timeless in a way and still hit the zeitgeist, I think. So the plan is to still launch the ALANA magazine in Q1 of 2026, no matter what comes, because I'm going to lay out the shit out of this in the next few days, in the next week. And a huge, huge, huge thank you to Rene Pinel from Artisan, because he's been such a strong supporter, even though we let him down on the last days of the Artisan campaign, just because I was also pretty oversaturated and pretty done energyless in the last few months of this year, to be honest. So thank you so much for all your support. It means a lot to us because it makes this next edition not only possible, but it makes it so we can pre-produce it, which I think is such an amazing thing to be able to do. And it will also mean that the print edition will go down in price for a lot of people, which I think is nice because it was a quite pricey piece before, although we're also thinking if we just make it much fancier, with like a really cute book cover and stuff. So stay tuned for that one. Anyway, again, big shout out to Sogan, Nastaran, Delia, Havoji, Shelpen, Lutra, Lauren, Ilya, Jessica, and Elan for their support and their their mental capacity, right, to actually work on this. All right, next is ALANA Boutique, and there will be something in the air in 2026. Yeah, that's true, Lutra. That's so true. Okay, let me actually go and share my screen. I want to show you guys this next one because I think no one ever has seen this. So as you guys know, we organize, I know this is no hidden advertisement because Milano doesn't pay me for this, even though I probably have onboarded more than 1,000 people at this point. This is how I don't know, organize ourselves. And if you look here, these 4 things are the eventual product branches. Not all of them are yet, fully realized, obviously. And the next one, right after ALANA magazine, that we're quite proud of is something that Paridi Dariwal and I have worked on, which is a virtual boutique. So as you know, I also really, really want to eventually develop an ALANA game just because her avatar really, it just makes so much sense. Okay, I'm such a huge gamer and it would make so much sense to have an ALANA game. But I haven't studied game design. I know a lot about it, but I also still have to learn a lot of things about it. And the most closest interim step that I felt that could exist is a virtual boutique, something that can be immersive if people wanted to be immersive, and something that could just be a storefront, or not just, because it also comes with a twist, could just be a storefront that people can visit online, right? So let me show you a little bit on what Paridi and I have been mostly up to, which is, it is insane, okay? So you see this takes a minute to all load. This is one of our 2 development boards, right? And there are no spoilers on here because there is not really a finished image of the whole thing. So you're only gonna get to see splits. But essentially, we started with this like mushroom shape, right? And then you see, like, we discussed problems, options, like how could this look like? How could this feel like? Can we gamify how people get to the 2nd floor? If that's the thing, like, what's the gamified aspect of it? How should a texture look like? Should it be semi-stylized? Should it be realistic? If there is an ALANA chair, what makes an ALANA chair an ALANA chair? Actually, Paridi figured it out, which is really cool. But again, no spoilers on that one, sorry. And, then we got deeper into the overall storyline to really match the branding, to match, the story with the virtual boutique space. And so, yeah, we've been, quite diligently. We built everything in Blender, and most of the things actually were built by Paridi, right? So I was there to help and to share wisdom when I had to share something. Otherwise, I had to look it up and then share it. But yeah, it's quite exciting, and I guess we are now at a very important spot, which is all the assets stand for the boutique. So all the shelves, all the, themed spaces, because yes, we have themed spaces. So we thought about it a lot, but we eventually decided that it would be cool to have themed spaces. So these are the theme spaces, right? There is like two very minimalistic one. One is black and the other one is white, but they share the same base design. Then we have, a hint of summer, which is like a more, retro inspired summery vibe. Then we have nomadic elegance. We have celestial whispers, feeling bluish, which came out so beautiful. Really did such a cool job. And 50 Shades of Pink. Well, no surprise. I guess that's the space I worked on. Love the way the boutique is shaping up. Yeah, me too, me too. And thanks for joining, Darja. And Melting Boundaries. That's, I guess, still a space that's a little bit up in the air. Anyways, point is, this is really coming to a really good point. So most of the assets are optimized. Most of the textures are there. So now it's a matter of exporting or organizing and then eventually re-importing it all into Unreal Engine. The idea is that people will access this through a website, normal browser interaction, through something that's called pixel streaming. And we're trying to make it as less heavy as we can. Hence, there was so much work involved in optimizing each and every asset in that boutique. And then we're actually ready to really curate. So we'll do one call to action for everyone. You guys can just hand in ideas or things you have seen that you would like to see in there, because the idea is to give creators a space to monetize their physical products in there, right? That's the big idea behind this. But doing it in, something that's appealing, that's new, that might get some attention, right, on young designers. Anyways, that's the boutique. That's what's been happening. And it's quite crazy if you think about it. And then what else do we have? Oh, we have so much more. We have so much more. Faber AI. Okay, so Faber AI is a little bit, okay, let me quickly tell you why it's called Faber AI. For artists, by artists. That's why it's now called Faber AI and not ALANA AI, because we decided people don't really need to talk to ALANA, right, through this AI. We want this to be something that actually serves creators and doesn't take jobs from them. So Digital Monkey, Lepidope, and myself, we are a little bit hush-hush about all of it, because we don't want to get this attention into the wrong hands about what we're building. So we're going to keep being a little bit more hush-hush about it. If you want to find out more, well, you can join the Discord. But also, I really highly recommend, I'm going to say this like 100 times today, right? Subscribe to the ALANA Newsflash. Because the ALANA Newsflash is what's going to keep you updated. And we aim to launch an MVP, a minimum viable product, in the first 3 months of 2026. And we want to invite beta testers. You will need to sign a mini NDA, right? But you can try the tool. And you can tell us if you like it, if you hate it, if you think it's for nothing, if you think it's super cool, right? But it's going to be very small and very exclusive for only a few people to test. So yeah, highly recommend. Scan that, subscribe to the Newsflash if you're not already subscribed, and make sure you don't miss out on potentially being a beta tester. Saying all of that, I guess I should move on. Also, big shout out, obviously, to Digital Monkey, Lepidope, and also again to Paridi for building so relentlessly with me in the boutique. Yeah, so there's actually something that I really want to share with you that's like super kind of newish, I guess. So this year, I tried something very new. I was like, what if we tried to develop many applications? And I had some funds and I thought, why not give this a try? Let's build some open source tools that people could potentially really benefit from. And then, there was a big base hackathon coming up, and I was like, you know what? Let's just do this. And actually, Manuel was the one who said, like, we should do this. So huge shout out to Manuel Elias, whom I've met through Ethereum Bolivia. So thank you to Ceci for introducing me. And as you can see, this is the GitHub. It always looks a little bit scary, but essentially this is the ALANA GitHub. So whenever you want to find out stuff that, it's just something that you don't know about the project and you cannot find on Paragraph, then this would be the next best idea to go to for now. But I will come to the extension of that idea in a second. So anyways, there's Minify. Minify is a mini app in which you have little cute creatures that you can feed some token to, and then it grows and it actually vests your token on the other end. So it generates yield. It locks the token up until you don't want anymore, right? And it generates tiny bits of yield for you. So you can think of this as like a piggy bank, I guess. Piggy bank is the best description for it. So anyways, you can read a little bit about it here. And yeah, the main people who supported me in this are Kirsty for the creature design. So huge shout out to Kirsty. Juan Manuel Elias Soria for the smart contract development. And he is also going to start working on the backend connection. And I was responsible for the idea and front-end design. Anyways, as if that wouldn't be enough, there's one more little thing I want to share, which is Phoenix Gate. Phoenix Gate is something that I developed together with Karel Rally. And it is essentially, it is a very basic app, but what it does, it scans membership NFTs, for example, the ones that we have ALANA, if they are stored on a burner hardware card wallet, which is quite cool. So just for those of you who don't know this, let me share this tab instead. So this is a burner wallet, okay? And it's literally just, it's a card. I don't have it, usually I have it here somewhere on my desk, but I don't have it right now. It's just like a normal bank card, but it's actually a hardware wallet and probably the cheapest hardware wallet you could find out there. Anyways, as every other wallet, crypto wallet in the world at least, it can store any types of tokens. So it can store cryptocurrencies, but it can also store NFTs. And that means it can also store membership NFTs done with Unlock protocol. So I thought, how cool would it be if, Unlock, ALANA, all of these communities, if we had our own membership cards that also work as wallets, right? And it could be as easy as tapping your phone to check if a membership is active. Let's say, you're throwing an ALANA party and you only want ALANA people to be there, right? And then you tap the card on the phone that scans if the contract is in. Anyway, this is what Phoenix Gate is supposed to do. And Phoenix Gate is actually already has a working Android application. It's not officially posted though yet on the Google Play Store, and we're working on the version for iOS, which is super exciting. So I want to say in many regards, this Phoenix Gate is more developed over Minify, but I hope we can see both through in 2026. That would be amazing, as they are both open source under MIT licensing, meaning people can just, essentially fork the GitHub and create their own version, right? Redesign the layout, I don't know, make it more their brand. And yeah, I think it's really nice to be able to do that and contribute to the open source software industry a little bit more. All right, so on that note, a quick interim break, I guess. Something that I really want to point out over and over again. I know I'm getting in so much trouble for this, but oh, and then I killed it. That's always good. Well, don't forget to subscribe to the ALANA newsflash. I keep on saying this like a crazy person. 40. Yeah. So, interim note, I want to celebrate also our community partners because they've had also a little bit of a, I don't think they had an easy time this year either. And so, biggest shout outs go to Marie Bastian from World of Mesh. She featured the entire Alana magazine team in a One Less Desperate call out for like, hey, don't you want to submit your designs to be published in the next edition? So thank you for doing that. Thank you for providing us with the stage and actually having a very meaningful conversation about all of this. To me personally, it meant a lot. I actually cried afterwards. So that was very meaningful for at least to me to have. Alexander, who was also saying hi earlier in the live stream, and Christopher, of course, both from Choice Now. Thank you guys so much for, always showing up, always when you see stuff, you comment, when you see it, you share, right? It's so valuable, especially because I was a little bit distracted in 2025 with my whole work at Unlock. So thank you for stepping up and doing that. I mean it. Orchidia 3D for agreeing to help us, curating the fashion editorials in a very, elevated way. Fellow teammates at specifically at Unlock Protocol social media team, which would be Jonathan and Stacey. Thank you guys so much for always having also Alana's back at the same time and resharing stuff. And then there's also something that Habo brought to us quite right before we closed Alana for the year. He said like, hey, I have these really cool ladies from Announced Digital Fashion, and they really want to do something with Alana magazine. So I guess we have a new partner to welcome very soon, which are Onome and Yemi from Announced Digital Fashion. I'm super excited to do more work with them in 2026 and see where that leads us to really like start uniting, global communities, because that's what we are. We are all like little hubs everywhere, right? But the more we work together, the bigger we can grow, the more impact we can hopefully make, and show people something that I said at the United Nations Summit this year, right? Like communities in Web3, they're not freaking Facebook groups, right? They actually build meaningful things. And Alana by far is not the only one doing it. And I want more people to be able to do it, right? Of course, I also want more people to join us, but Alana is not for absolutely everyone, right? There might be communities right around the corner from you that you've never seen or heard of just because they don't have the exposure, but they would be the perfect match for you, right? And it would be nice to help people discover these groups in their closest vicinity and join and discover what people can actually build together. Because if you think about New York community gardens or projects like this, right, it's kind of the same thing. The only thing that's different is we have more advanced tools that help us coordinate potentially. So that's a big deal. Also on the note of coordination, I guess, something that I also want to share with you guys is in 2025, I met another very incredible being called Sven. And Sven is the founder of Incented, and he started to build an incredible platform that makes human coordination and reward mechanisms potentially so much easier than are currently, because a lot of them, honestly, they're either not meaningful or they are quite complicated or manual, right? In a world where we are like, it's all about automation, right? So why do we do the things that no one wants to actually bother doing, not in an automated way? So he was like, yeah, we actually can. So he founded and sent it. And he wrote actually a really, really nice article, also summarizing his work on Incented this year. And some of these things that I shared with him. And I just read that he also published the social media kit that I worked on. which is going to be a free tool soon available to everyone. So if you want to grab a version, then you're welcome to do it. But this one is a little bit more specific, as it is almost like a social media inspiration workshop for people who want to run funding campaigns through Incented. So yeah, I highly recommend you check out his website. It's really easy. It's incented.co, and check out how human coordination, could be done really so much easier than it currently is. So, anyways, stopping with this now and moving on. Well, that was all about products, to be honest. Products are a huge part of Alana, and I hope they will grow so much further than the stage that they're currently at, because that means we can monetize. That means we can actually start not making this a volunteer gig all the time. So yeah, definitely focusing so much more of my resources this year, the coming year, on making that happen. Anyway, quick on the numbers. I know everyone always wants to know numbers, but honestly, I don't. I hate numbers. And not because I'm not good with them. I just hate them because they don't really tell you much, do they? Especially not in Web3. You can have 1,000 people in your Discord, 100 of them telling you GM every morning. Do they buy your product? Do they contribute to your product? Do they have any valuable impact on what the vision that you're trying to develop? Maybe, but most of the time I've seen that not be the case, right? So numbers are good. Obviously, we put some together as well. But what's so much more important are ambassadors and cheerleaders, right? And we have a few of them, and I'm so happy that we have them. There's Nitish Aurora, who's been a cheerleader for Alana since day one, and I know he's very excited that we're finally bringing her back, and her story will come out. There's Habo G, who's been nothing but championing Alana, even at IRL events. GM, and yes, I bought the product. Yes, you did. And you're allowed to say GM. Everyone here is allowed to say GM. But also you're very, very exceptional. I think you know that. Well, anyway, Raoji has been championing Alana IRL, doing some live events on Alana magazine in his hometown. Oyen Yola Sofela, who's been helping out with his own little spread on LinkedIn. I think that's truly, truly amazing. And when we go to the numbers, if we combine mine and Alana's numbers, we're at 7.5 thousand followers on X. We're at 1.1 thousand people on Discord. And no, you don't feel it. That's exactly what I mean. We have over 200 subscribers to the newsletter, and actually growing very nicely. We have 67,000 followers, I think, collectively on Instagram. We have 3,000 plus on LinkedIn. So it's going. It's growing. It's going. And I think what's in our favor is the stability, the persistence with which we're there. So I think we just keep rolling, and we learn from every mistake and from everything that hasn't worked out as well as we thought it would, because it gives purpose to a lot of things that sometimes tend to not hold a lot of purpose, I think. Anyways, let me get back to this view for a second. So what I wanted to tell you is the Alana Manifesto. I mentioned this before. We were actually, or I was super excited to see that no less than 100 people actually minted this free NFT. We did not really market this. This is a free NFT that people can mint if they agree that these principles actually do stand for a healthy and good community. So it's nice. When I saw it, I was actually super surprised and happy at the same time. I told Danny about it because he and we worked on it. So actually, Kirsten and I decided we're turning this into a silk scarf for the merch store. that's coming with the Alana boutique. There will also be Alana exclusive merch. So if you want to wear the 10 principles of a good community, you will be able to do that in 2026. Here you go. Well, how about that? Well, and then I guess something that we agreed on very early in 2025 was we really want to stop being so Discord heavy. It's okay to have the Discord still. It serves very well as like, a platform to exchange ideas and content. But to be honest, with Telegram just attracting so much more native Web3 users in general, it just really, really feels like Telegram is the spot to be. So if you haven't already, please scan that and join us on Telegram, because I think, in all honesty, the Discord might eventually go in 2026. We are now doing a lot of our calls with Huddle, which has been working really, really well. And serving us very well over the last few months. Yes, there are hiccups, but as Lutra and I recently found out, there are also hiccups with Google. So let's rather use a decentralized tool then, I guess. So yeah, if you haven't already, please join that one. All right, so what's next, right? Yes, this is the part, what made you not leave me yet. What is next? So I guess the biggest next thing that is coming is the new Alana website, which actually is almost entirely vibe coded. It's kind of cool to prove a concept, I guess. So let me quickly place. And let's go with this one. All right, here you go. So as you can see, it has a very simplistic aesthetic. And I don't really want to show you much because my good friend, Dani, was so kind as to, and now we're resharing again. We're hopping screens today. Quite wild people that we are. He actually put some thoughts together on this, because he was like, I like it. It's it presents the aesthetic of Alana, right? It is very easy to read. It doesn't have long loading times. But he said, like, can we make the menu more guided? Can we make it more concise? And then he put some of his ideas down. And then I had to have a call with him because I'm an old person. So I was like, let me confirm if I really understand all of this. And then I understood what he wanted, and he's quite right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this in the new year and I'm going to implement his ideas to make sure that the website is going to be amazing. It's going to be something that serves a lot of people to get obviously onboarded into Alana, but also find the resources that they are looking for, because they might just be looking for, the paragraph or, our social media accounts, anything. But if they want to spend time on there, they should exactly know where they could go next, where they could go to contribute, where they can go to buy a product, right? And all of these things. So yeah, I'm being very secretive to the outside world right now about the website. But I know some of you in the chat, you have seen the mostly full thing. And of course, over time, we can update this with the new Alana graphics, with all of this, right? But this serves, I think, as a very strong base, and it contains all the information we think that people really want and need. So big shout out also on that note to Kirsty and Dani, because obviously Kirsty was strongly involved in the process. Dani as well, with his incredible feedback to optimize the website. Feedback, critical feedback that you can actually work with and make things better with, I have come to learn that's more valuable than any person that will tell you that your work is beautiful. It's nice to hear it, but does it help to optimize your product and get the best result out there? Probably not. And this is something I only started learning in Web3, and I don't think I could have learned it anywhere else. So thank you for that. Anyways, the biggest part that probably Luther is still around for is something that he's working on, which is the white paper for Alana and, kind of the documentation around the token engineering and the organizational development process. I know, also many heavy words, but essentially how to run Alana in a very decentralized and semi-automated way. So it doesn't belong to one person anymore, and one person cannot make decisions about it anymore. Because right now I'm still that person, and I do not want to be that person, right? It's fun, but it's also not really what I wish to prove with all of this. I wish to prove to people with Alana that, and I think Lutra and probably Grayscale were very much in alignment as this, that this can be a blueprint just for a few days more, exactly, that this can be a blueprint for something much more, let's call it serious. Not that I think that this isn't serious, it's very serious for me, right? But saying like, you want to run a government, right? Like, what are the basic principles that you need to put in place? And I'm talking very minimalistic, like very, like, how you can say, very mini version of that, right? Because government sounds huge, it is huge, it's very complex. But how can I run something, that touches even more people's life on a daily basis, and do it by following a similar blueprint than they used? If we can accomplish something along those lines, that would be my absolute dream. And make money for us, for ourselves. That's these dreams are equally important. So anyways, as I shared with you, the contribution calculator was a very fundamental step in getting there. We are trying to not rush the token launch, because we really might want to make sure that we are looking at each and every part. And yes, I think this is actually quite right. Thank you, Niels. A sandbox for greater things. Yeah, I think that is quite right. Thank you. So then I guess the most, well, I don't know what's most exciting. I'll just keep saying, oh, the most exciting thing. It's also the last thing I'm going to share for today, because we're almost at an hour. But something that I think is extremely, has been extremely missed. And I know people have been wanting this to come back so badly, is the Alana avatar, right? And so on that note, I really want to thank a few people here, because this has been such a harsh journey. The first part of it was like, we're doing a rebranding, and if Alana is supposed to represent this community, she might have to undergo a very similar process, right? So we're like, I guess the branding of Alana has to change. So we started on that, and we were a big team with like many people, many voices involved when we started this, because I think there was a lot of interest. Out of these few people, only a few have persisted in that journey, which is Kirsty on the branding side, obviously doing amazing work with whatever she does. If she gives feedback, if she composes a post, if she, designs something, Kirsty is an extremely versatile human being, and she does an incredible job. If you are not already following her on TikTok, Kirsty Malloy on TikTok, highly recommend. She has a bunch of really good videos up there. For the avatar making process, I specifically want to thank, I hope it's okay to say, 2 people. I always feel like I'm neglecting someone, but I don't think I am. That would be Princess Jessica Navlosi, and I'm not sure if I should just butcher that. And you might know her as Jessica James, because she worked with me on the last version of the suit. She worked with me on the hair, and the hair is a really, really tricky thing. And Ana Paula Gaza, who has been working also on the hair previously. And yeah, I'm third person now working on the hair. That's how troublesome that freaking hairstyle is, right? But yeah, I want to thank those 2 specifically. I know there were some other people involved, but none of what will come out now as the end result is actually the only things that you will still see is some of the work that Jessica James and Anna contributed, and myself. So anyways, there are a few different makeup styles that Alana will come with, and those 2 are just samples. There will be more. And here are some of the old, testing which is a lot that Anna and I did. Where so this one of my hairstyles, this one of Anna's, right? And then this is also another one from Anna, because we just wanted to learn how to do hair properly. And at the same time, we wanted to figure out what is Alana's hairstyle? How could that potentially look like, right? What is her and what's maybe not her, right? So we found ourselves a bunch of, cool, I want to say, hairstyles on Pinterest to just try out and see where the content will lead us. And yeah, it's been quite the fun journey to do that, only to eventually end up with something very different. So I'm going to show you that too. Um, so the newest, I guess the newest, not the newest, but this is where we are at right now. So this is the new hair development. And I created a system which I'm going to do a webinar on in 2026. So no one ever has to struggle with freaking hair again. And it's not reliant on any built-in plugin or something that eventually doesn't get renewed anymore, because that's what we struggled with. We adopted like 3 different add-ons, and the developers just decided it's not worth developing any further. And then as the versions continued, well, those add-ons just failed us. So there was a lot of like back and forth, right? So anyways, this is more or less the hairstyle that we're going for with Alana. So she keeps her like curliness, but it becomes a little bit, I want to say, more organized and more game ready, because eventually she's going to be a game character. Then I tried my best to generate a few different perspectives. From there, I started to break down the hair into different strands, because that's eventually how you model it. Then I created our custom hair card textures. Then I created a base cap. So this is what you see here is the base cap. It's meant for making everything look very filled up and not that she is like bold or something. Then I developed a little haircut system. So all of these cards can be, wrapped with the curve. So this black line on here is a curve right around Alana's head to form all of these strands. And yeah, I started with the big braid because that just makes sense. And this is where I'm currently at with this. I want to show you too. Yeah, that's a horrible perspective. But yeah, this is where we're at. So essentially she has like an undercut, and from that undercut comes the braid. So I have to finish aligning up these and redoing these little ones. And then again, this is the filling part. So then from the front, I will start laying out all of these haircuts. So a bald head allows to participate. No, bald heads are not allowed on this one. I'm sorry. But yeah, so the good news is, because these are all hair cards already, this is actually a game ready version. So there is no high level and then somehow you need to make it and low. No, 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 no. Okay. And some of these textures need adapting, but I'm going to do that last. Anyways, she's coming together is the good news. Finally, 500 years later. So we're getting there. So I guess this is the most exciting news. Something else I wanted to quickly share is how we've been doing with the suit, because that's something else that Jessica and I worked on quite a dedicated way. So I want to show you. This is how we started with some AI generated things along like the aesthetics and guidelines. Then based on that, Jessica drew up these like incredible sketches. Then we refined the sketches a little bit further. Let me see. Yeah, so it was actually a huge process, right? People always think like, oh, it's just, no, it's not just. So much work. Then we assembled some materials for that purpose. Some of them are also custom materials. So these are the 5 different materials we ended up with. made in substance. And then there is the actual undersuit, right? So there is the undersuit, and some inspiration came from Starfield for that too. And then we did a lot of like mini corrections, because this is a suit that she's gonna wear as a base layer of sorts, right? So, oh, can you guys actually see the screen? Let me see if I can reshare. Yeah, now it's there again. Okay, so here you can see a lot of this suit development that's been going on, and like mini corrections, and how should this look like? How should this be optimized? Like quite a tricky process. Anyway, this is the most base layer we have ended up with for now. And I think there is still some things to optimize, but for now that is really good. And then we have started to actually investigate armor, because that gets layered on top of it, right? So I did some digging into very old school type of armor, and that became an inspiration for what I'm actually building. And yes, I know she's a little bit buck naked, so I'm just going to show you this part. But yeah, armor is coming along quite well as well. So I think she should be ready very soon as well, or the suit and the armor should be ready fairly soon as well. But for now, in the next 2 days before we actually close out the year, I'm gonna keep sticking with making the hair, because I think that's more important than anything. Because if we have the hair, we can start doing face visuals with her. We can start dressing her potentially again, and doing all sorts of fun things with her that we've been missing out on for almost the last 2 years. So yeah, I guess that's a wrap. So don't forget to subscribe to the Alana Newsflash. Don't forget to join the Alana Telegram. And thank you guys for being here. Thanks for believing in some of the same things that I believe in. All of this is going to be published as an article, probably tomorrow morning. So if you could make it, you have a choice. You can either watch the recording on 1.5, or you can just read the article, which is probably much, much shorter to go through, unless you would miss seeing my face. Of course, then, you should watch the video. Yeah, and that is it. So I wish everyone a happy new year. Thanks for sticking with Alana. Let's build really cool things in 2026. I'm really looking forward to it, and see you guys out there. Bye.